Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of Tony Plays The Binding of Isaac. Hope everyone's doing alright. Everyone's chilling, going about their day nice and lovely. Know how it is? I'm doing pretty okay myself, honestly. Just kind of relaxing on this nice and lovely Monday morning. Not morning, but you know, Monday. Relaxing on a nice and bright Monday. I think it's gonna be hot today, so I'll be suffering later, but right now I'm just kind of chilling with the fan on in the background. Hope everyone's doing alright. I've been solid, you know, since last episode, or last recording. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I did have something I wanted to talk about. I guess recently I found myself in quite the unfortunate, interesting circumstance. Now, I think I have gone on about Death Stranding before, but for any uninitiated or unaware, if I haven't, I'm actually a really big fan of Death Stranding. The first game, I remember following it after Konami had let go of Kojima. I remember following along with the news of it, hoping it would be this new cool game by Kojima. You know, I was excited. I was like, dude, I can't wait for this game to come out. And then, you know, endless upon endless, just it took a long time. You know, it took a long time for this game to come out. That man had an idea and he ran with it, but it was something crazy. It was something fierce. So for the most part, it was just a lot of waiting, you know, hearing about how it's gonna have Norman Reedus again, Mads Mikkelsen. I remember correctly, like the first few trailers showed off Guillermo del Toro as well, in like these weird ass scenarios. I don't really even know how you describe it. I'm a moron, actually. I don't even know how you describe it, man. But it was just crazy, you know? Looking at the game, it was just kind of crazy. So I remember actively being like, dude, I can't wait. I can't wait for this. I'm going to be very excited for when this game comes out. And finally, after a whole bunch of long hours, years, whatever, the wait, the game finally came out on, I want to say it was PS4 exclusively originally. And I remember playing the fuck out of that game. When it released, I remember playing the ever-living shit out of Death Stranding, bro. It was such a fucking cool, crazy, weird, but overall enjoyable game. I actually really liked it a lot. I remember hearing from a lot of people being like, oh, it's like a walking simulator sort of deal, you know. It's not all it's like cracked up to be or whatever. You just walk around, deliver packages. But honestly, the gameplay of just walking around delivering packages, trying to deal with like BTs or whatever and stuff, everything about it was cool, in my opinion. Everything about it had led up to like, I fuck with this, you know, honestly. It might not be what everyone was expecting, I understand that, and there are probably, like I said, there are people out there who are like, not all it's cracked up to be, it's kind of sucks, L ratio, whatever. But to me, I was like, this game was still cool as hell. I remember beating it and just, I remember beating it, leaving fulfilled, and just overall being like, damn, that was peak, that was fire. And now, years later, it's getting a sequel, but this is where this predicament for Tony comes in. I'm a huge Kojima fan. I'm a huge Death Stranding fan. I was absolutely ecstatic to hear that it's gonna get a sequel, you know? Death Stranding 2 is happening. Things are shaping up to look really cool for the game. I'm very excited. And then he one-shots? And then I, what's the word I'm thinking of? I don't want to say did some research or whatever, but then I found out something, all right? I found out something. I'm not even joking. Literally yesterday. Or I guess the day I'm recording this, yesterday. Sunday, the 22nd. I discovered something on the 22nd that I didn't think would ruin my day, but it just did. I'd be thinking, Tony, what is it? It's a PS5 exclusive game for like the meantime. Now, me, your boy, I'm gonna be honest with you, with the fact that Death Stranding does have a director's cut port on PC. I don't know why. I was assuming it was gonna be like a release, you know, on all platforms, Xbox, PlayStation, PC. I was 1000% wrong. That game is coming out exclusively on PS5. Now, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I'm like, I don't know, you know? I'm baffled. I'm surprised, you would call it. I'm just like, bro, what do you mean it's a PS5 exclusive? Because I remember seeing a post on the Death Stranding subreddit or whatever talking about how some people were playing it early, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I was like, some people playing this game early? Okay, let me pre-order the digital deluxe edition. I'll be able to play it early. That's gonna be fine. And then I type on Steam, Death Stranding 2. Nothing comes up. I'm like, and immediately, as soon as I type Death Stranding 2 and I see nothing comes up, my heart sinks. My heart instantly sinks because a part of me deep down knows it's an exclusive. It's an exclusive, huh? And I look it up. I just go, I decide, F it. I'm gonna look up Death Stranding 2, like exclusive or whatever. And I do see that it is the case. Death Stranding 2 is in fact a PlayStation exclusive. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, my heart broke. Genuinely, my heart broke into like a billion pieces. And I'm just like, man, this blows. Which is unfortunate because me being excited for Death Stranding releasing this week, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna replay Death Stranding. I haven't played the game since it came out on since it came out, bro, like all those years back. And I remember playing it thinking this game is peak, this game is cinema. I'll be sure to play some more of it, you know, or not even play some more, but you know, I'll just like, this game is gonna stick with me for a while, and it did stick with me. And now that it's getting a sequel, I'm like, all right, I want to try the sequel, you know. I want to reconnect myself with the story of Death Stranding. One, I was a little bit younger when it came out. Maybe I could pick up on some more nuanced things or whatever, you know, stuff like that. See what Kojima was really trying to say, type of deal. But now I am like, I don't even know like how to describe it, you know, like I'm cooked, bro. I guess is what Tony's trying to say. Tony's cooked. Because the one thing that could have, what's the word I'm thinking of? I won't say the one thing that could have saved him or whatever, but like, how am I gonna play Death Stranding 2? You know what I mean? So I had this decision, you know, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I had this decision in my head. We gonna see what happens. We gonna see if I act on this. But I have been saving up, just to save up, you know. I haven't gone out in like a few weeks or whatever. I've been just kind of saving my money for something. I've been thinking about getting a stupid ass PS5, I'm gonna be honest with you. If it's gonna be a fucking PlayStation exclusive or whatever, man, and like I've been wanting to play it, I'm not gonna wait like the 2.5 years or whatever that it potentially took the Death Stranding original game to get a PC port. You know what I mean, man? I'ma just fucking, I'ma just get it. I'ma just play the shit, bro. That's how I'm seeing it. And you know, could be slightly mayhaps controversial or whatever. Like I'm you know, familiar. And like all I really gotta say is like, bro, my bad. You know? My fault, OG. I guess is what I'm trying to say. So if y'all hear me talking about Death Stranding 2 in like next week's episodes, you know what I did. You know the drastic measures that I took. In that I supported a bad company like Sony. Or maybe not a bad company. I don't know. I don't follow them. Ever since I got a PC, I have not been involved with consoles really at all. Mainly for the fact that, one, PlayStation and Xbox, like, they're not even like really at war with each other or whatever, you know? You guys remember how there used to be like a huge deal about PlayStation and Xbox games, you know? More so, I mean, huge deal in the sense where it's like, people used to debate these consoles like their lives depended on it, you know what I mean? People used to debate these things like they were like paid Microsoft's Sony informants, Sony shills, dare I say. Now, ain't even a competition. Xbox just doesn't do anything. What's the word I'm thinking of? I don't want to say like different or whatever, but Xbox, they've pivoted their whole thing to essentially be like, we're entirely Game Pass. Every console is an Xbox. We're gonna put our exclusives on Sony, which honestly, if I'm gonna be real with you, I'm slightly excited about. One, it kind of hurts a little to a degree, because now it sort of means that like, you know, the exclusive franchises like Gears of War and Halo, intrinsically, you know, like, will this be the case? No, but this is kind of like what it sort of might mean for the future or whatever, is that these games have inherently less value, I guess, because now Microsoft doesn't need these games to be so insanely heavy hitter in order for it to be like, what's it called, you know? Like the games that are Halos 1, 2, and 3 or whatever, Microsoft essentially needed all of those games to be absolute cinema peak video game due to, you know,
Soul of Isaac.
Spirit Sword is good, but I'm actually gonna get Immaculate Heart. Surprising. Essentially, Microsoft needed all those Halo games to be as cinema as they are, or whatever, due to one reason and one reason only, and that is no one would play the games. No one would buy their console if they didn't have an insane, amazing game product in, like, Halo franchise or whatever. You know what I mean? It sounds a little crazy. You might be thinking, Tony, I think you are smoking complete crack cocaine or something. And I'll be real with you, I think you could be right. From what I know, if you duplicate this, yep. I'm gonna be real with you, there was no other method. We either duplicated it and got Cricket's head, or it was gone from existence. And it turned out to just be gone. He didn't want to stay. But essentially, it's like, you know, Microsoft needed Halo to be a good game in order to sell their consoles, in order to have a reason to buy an Xbox, because that was the only place to play Halo. Same thing with games like Gears of War. The Gears of War, all the exclusives essentially needed to be peak masterpiece in order for you to sell your console. Now they're no longer in, you know, selling the console territory. Now they're in, what's the word I'm thinking of? Game Pass or whatever. Now, I will say, you know, it only slightly lessens the value, because you would still, you know, think for good business practices or whatever, you would want the game to be good so you can make a profit from the people buying the game because they want to buy a good game. But only, I guess, only time will tell how things go forward. But I will say, if it means more people will be able to play the Halo franchise that I know and love, then it's a temporary W, at least for now, you know? We'll get people who have never experienced the beauty of playing half of the Halo CE campaign backwards, you know? People have never experienced that beauty, and here we are, you know? Now we're able to do such a thing. What can I say? You know? Rainbow baby. Dog food. I almost swapped to the wrong character and gave dog food to the wrong dude. Which would have been really funny. Really funny and depressing. What the? Why is he allowed to curve it like that, bro? Why does bro's thing have a little curve in it? I don't know what I'm saying. I know what I'm saying. Why am I saying it? Oh, you fuck. But I mean, you know, at least if I do end up buying a PlayStation, there is something I'm looking forward to besides Death Stranding 2. I was gonna say Stellar Blade, however, you know, that game's on PC now. But also, like, I don't know, I'm like new to those kinds of games. Because bro, 2 Bibles, really? I love it when you buy the beauty that is, what's this item called? You grab the beauty that is the rosary, and it now forever taints your item pool with God's most mid item, and that is the Bible. This can't be real. This can't be legal. But I like Nier. I've been playing Nier, whatever those kinds of games are, you know, where it's like your character runs around just beating the shit out of people. It's like open world, there's side quests, you know, that kind of game. I'm like new to this sort of game style, you know what I mean? I've only recently started playing Nier, and I've played my fair share of hours. I think I have like 8 hours in Nier right now, and counting. Just want to have that be known. I am still playing and actively enjoying the game. And it's funny because, like, a few of my friends have been talking about Stellar Blade like it's a really good game. I'm saying that as if it's not. I wouldn't know. I haven't played it. But a few of my friends have been talking about Stellar Blade and essentially being like, this game is really good, you know, people should play it. And I'm like, all right, sounds interesting. Maybe I'll give it a try. And then a friend of mine who I never thought I'd see ever play Stellar Blade, a game like Stellar Blade, he's been playing it now. So now it's kind of leaning like, okay, maybe I should give this game a try. Apparently, more people in my life are actively enjoying it, so maybe. But will I? I'll be real, probably not. At the end of the day, I probably won't play it, but just, you know, thought that counts or whatever. Or whatever. Thought that counts, what's we're talking about. You know, like maybe I'll play it in the future. Who knows? We'll see. Have mercy. Have mercy! Okay. But I mean, yeah. Demon's Souls remake. That is the game that I have been looking forward to as a PlayStation exclusive. Now, I have never played Demon's Souls. However, as an enjoyer of FromSoft games, I've always wanted to try it. But, you know, learning it was a PlayStation 3 exclusive, I was like, man, that's unfortunate. Then, not only that, but Demon's Souls proceeds to be, what's the word I'm thinking of? It proceeds to get a remake that is also a PlayStation exclusive. And unlike their other games like God of War or Returnal, it has had zero, literally zero press or anything, leaks, rumors about it being maybe ported to Steam. So I've just given up all hope. In the same way that I'm giving up hope on there being a Death Stranding 2 release on Steam, at least for like the foreseeable future. Same way with Demon's Souls. We're not gonna get one, so why bother? I'm gonna just have to tank that, as one might say. I'm just gonna have to tank that knowledge and knowing that that's probably true, and I will just have to, I guess, suck it up or whatever. However you want to say it, describe it, you know, so be it, so be it. Although I will say, I'm optimistic that maybe we will get one in the foreseeable future. Like, you know, you never know, honestly. Like with Sony, sometimes you just never know. Man, they will bring back a franchise that no one has played in a long time. They will keep a franchise dead for a long time. I'm still coping every single time there's like a direct or state of play or whatever, that hey, maybe they'll remember that they own the goated franchise known as the Infamous series, and maybe they'll bring that back. Every time I'm proven wrong, and every time I'm just like, oh well, maybe next time. So, you know, Tony will keep coping about it. But in the meantime, we have to play around what the actual real world is. And the real world is that Demon's Souls does not exist on anything other than the PlayStation 3, which I would be a perhaps fool to buy. Or maybe not, you know, I'd actually be able to play, if I got the right one, I'll be able to play some backwards compatible games and enjoy. But you know, it's not something that I'm willing to buy, at least in recent time. I don't want to buy a PS3 like until I guess I really feel like I kind of want one, you know, to maybe play some older classic titles. Or I could get a PS5, which allows me to play some titles that I'm looking forward to / I'm actually actively excited about in like, you know, real time. Being Death Stranding and what's the word I'm thinking of? Demon's Souls remake. And I'll actually be able to play Bloodborne again because I'm not booting up my PS4. Why? If I boot up my PS4, that thing is a fire hazard. I am more likely to have just my room spontaneously combust with that thing on and plugged in. I don't know why, it's just the PS4 way. Once your PS4 gets too old, sees too much use, it just starts sounding like an airplane taking off. I'm not the first one to say it, I'm definitely not going to be the last one to say it. It's just the truth. He's pushing me, Rev, do something! So, you know, we'll see, I guess, at the end of the day, we'll see what I do, but I guess I've convinced myself a little bit to maybe just go and get it, but I don't know, man. Because I'm gonna be real with you, I'm not gonna fucking play it like that. Maybe I will, who knows. Maybe I'll just get my Death Stranding / what's the word I'm thinking of? I'll get my Death Stranding / Bloodborne and what's that other game called, man? Demon's Souls, like, lick in, you know? I'll play those games to play those games just to see what it's like. Then once I'm done with that, I'll be like, alright, I'm done, you know? I will just, like, give the PlayStation to my brother. I know he be playing PlayStation sometimes. Or at least it'll give him a reason to touch the PlayStation. And you know what's funny? Is that I'm gonna be so real. Had there not been an announcement, this is oh, he got greedy. He got greedy. It could have been goated. It could have been the God's greatest maneuver. Instead, Tony will have to live with the fact that he is a moron. Pay to play. And then let's Roll, you see what we got. Nothing great. I will grab you. But yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. Oh, my bad. I got a little caught off guard. I was so in awe at my own stupidity that I realized I should have been talking. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I'm just walk through. What the hell? What the hell? Why is the door open? I'm gonna be 100% honest. I'm gonna keep it a giant stack with you guys. Had there not been an announcement for Final Fantasy 16 getting a PC release, that's Miku. That's Hatsune Miku. Had there not been an announcement about Final Fantasy 16 getting a PC release, I would have 1000% copped the PlayStation for Final Fantasy 16 alone. I had literally heard nothing but praise from that game. You know what's funny, actually, is that I recently saw a tweet that, I don't know, maybe any Final Fantasy fans, any Final Fantasy heads might be able to, you know, pitch in or whatever on, I guess, how you feel about this. But there is one thing that I saw, I've noticed it myself too, and that is a lot of the older, like, Final Fantasy fans absolutely despise the fact that it is no longer turn-based. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not gonna stand here and debate whether or not Final Fantasy is better as a turn-based game, because I'm be honest with you, I have limited experience with the Final Fantasy franchise outside of some minor 14, playing a little bit of 15, and then hearing about how the second half of 15 got bad, and I was like, all right, well, I'm never playing this again. And some of the actually earlier, some of the turn-based titles like 9, and I think that's about it. I think I've just played 9 for a little bit. But from what I know, hearing this and seeing this, I can literally only offhand think of 2 people in my life that I have seen who were old Final Fantasy fans. They grew up, literally grew up playing the franchise, and they enjoy the newer titles and their gameplay. It's my brother and my uncle. Everyone else that I have seen, maybe it's just online discourse, maybe people online are just natural born loser haters, you know? But any sort of what I've seen online is just hate on the modern franchise or whatever, on how the modern games suck. And I saw a tweet that I resonated with because I thought it was true, and that was, it's crazy how you will see and hear all this discourse about Final Fantasy, modern Final Fantasy being bad, and then like they'll pair the image or the gameplay with some of the like most raw gameplay you've ever seen in a video game ever. You know what I mean? Like, this shit goes hard. You can't tell me that this game sucks. Hold on, give me a second. Now look, maybe it's some sort of elitism or something. I don't know. I'm not here to start like an open psychological debate regarding the appeal of like the turn-based JRPG versus the action role-playing game or whatever, you know. I'm not gonna sit here and debate that with people and, you know, be like, oh, the only reason that people enjoy this game now or whatever is due to X, Y, and or Z or something like that. You know what I mean? Because, like, I'm gonna be real with you. Me, personally, I am a huge fan of... I'm a huge fan of the games. From what I have played, they have all been fun. I do plan on playing Final Fantasy 16 some more. However, Death Stranding comes out soon, so I'm gonna have to put that a little bit on the back burner, you know? But I have been interested in the Final Fantasy franchise, and yet it's just crazy to me how people, at least maybe the older fans that I see online, will absolutely hate and just slander it. When from the people I've seen, you know, it seems to be really cool, and from what I played, it is really cool. That's, you know, my thoughts. Anyways, I want to thank you guys for watching. If you guys did enjoy, greatly appreciate it. Hope you guys have a good day and or good night, depending on the time reviewing this, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.